Good morning, Magic players. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master. Welcome to the morning show, where we discuss all things Magic the Gathering. Whip out your, tinfoil hat theories about what the hell is going on with Wizards of the Coast. How are they designing these cards? Rocking up all the formats. We also do Decklist review, where if you've got a 75, you better believe that you can serve it to us. We will take a look and we are going to analyze it, help fix the win condition, help fix the mana base, help fix your bad matchups. Both myself and the community, we've got the answers. We are the hive mind. So welcome to Coffee and MTG for February 3rd, 2021. And look, I got my coffee super fresh, and that's why I'm a little late this morning. I'm like, I don't have my coffee. Where's my coffee? Look, you can see the steam. You see the steam? The steam is clear as daylight. Amazing. So I can't even sip it until like the steam goes away. But good morning to everybody. Good morning, Mikey J. Good morning, Frederick. Good morning, Aaron. Good morning, Carlos, Garner, Dr. Glass Bottle, Ramen, and Terry. Good morning. Terry Dactyl. I love it. And you got the right avatar and everything. Hilarious. So yeah, turns out, Modern's not the only format like getting rocked by like the Tybalt's Trickery deck. We also see Standard. I don't know if I honestly don't know if any Standard decks have made any 5-0s. I think it's just pure jank. But it's jank that people are willing to play and try out and have fun with. Same thing as in Modern. It looks like, well, I don't know. We might see we might be seeing serious Tybalt's Trickery decks pulling up. But at the moment, at least the builds that I've been playing, I can only, honestly, I'm not doing bad. I'm doing a little bit better than 50-50 because there are so many easy free wins in that meta game. Not to mention I can beat discard decks, and occasionally it seems I can beat counterspell decks, although those are terrible, terrible matchups. Good morning. Good morning, Mikey J, Hawkburn. Is it Georgie Osted, Guy, Red, Sean? Good morning, Maddie. Good morning, Torborg. Nikachu, also, Will Hall is going to try out my convoluted Mistcutter Hydra sideboard plan with Trickery today. So, LOL, I'll let you know how it goes. All right, let me know how it goes. But you need both cards in your hand. You need both cards in your hand to make it work. I have no idea how you're going to make that work. Morning, Dr. Unicorns. Good morning, Nako, Cactus of Ishmok, Harold, and Noetic. Good morning. What are the best and worst Merfolk for Modern? The best and worst? It's a very odd question. So, but if I were to try to give you an answer, my keyboard. Okay, so best Silvergill Adept. You taking notes, people? Lord of Atlantis. Master of the Pearl Trident. Okay, now let's get on to the worst Merfolk that exist in Modern. Silvergill Dowser. This thing sucks. I don't know. Okay, someone help me here. I never looked at the really bad Merfolk before. Like, what other terrible Merfolk are there out there? There's definitely some worse Merfolk out there. I just have to look up, like, Lorwyn. Just look up Lorwyn, Merfolk, and basically everything that isn't Silvergill Adept is the worst Merfolk out there. Ash Cantalep asks, you think Mox Opal will be unbanned? You are asking the person that was promoting the banning of Mox Opal for years if it's going to get unbanned. No! No, it's not getting unbanned. That card was not okay in the first... No! Fuck no. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you for the question, though, Ash. Thank you for the question. Merfolk on the Pearl Giant. That's a good Merfolk. That's one of the better ones. Any of the black Merfolk? I think the black Merfolk are pretty good, except... It's funny. I am not a fan of Sig River Cutter. There aren't many black Merfolk in the first place, though. There's also some bad green ones from Ixalan. Just a lot of draft garbage, The thing is, like, there's so many bad Merfolk. There's, like, just draft garbage all over the place. All right, so Croaky's another MTG content creator, recently made a tier list of MTG pros he believes he'd win or lose to. Do you think this is in poor taste or a fun way to spark some friendly competition? Well, let's find out. Hold on. You had to have seen Nikachu's tier list for the real answer, because he inspired me. Behold, how did I name this? Ridiculously good-looking MTG content creator tier list. You ready, people? Are you ready? It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. You can find that on my Twitter. Got 3 retweets, 60 likes. You know what? I like this so much, I'm gonna like it myself. Anyway, I don't... whatever. People shouldn't get so offended by this thing that Croaky's did. So anyway, Croaky's inspired me to make my own really condescending tier list. Competitively speaking, is it better to be a specialist or a jack of all trades when it comes to Modern? Specialist. Definitely specialist. The specialists do way better than the people who just hop from one deck to another. On average, the specialists do better. Now, you can specialize in more than one deck. Like, you could have a range of 2 or 3 decks, but if you just always jump to the best thing all the time, I think on average, those players lose out compared to the people who are always specializing in their archetypes. Always. Are you still on Tibble's variants? Yes, I am. I like winning on turn 2 and turn 3. It's fucking hilarious. You see, I have a fire. This is the best tier list ever. I think this is a very accurate tier list. Coral Helm Commander is not necessarily a great Merfolk, but not a bad one. It's a good one, but I wouldn't put it in the best Merfolk of all time. That's for sure. Some tribal decks, like Banned Spirits, have creatures that are not part of the tribe. How many do you think is acceptable to include in a tribal deck for Modern? You could have, I think, between 4 and 6. I mean, maybe you can push it even further than that. How many creatures like Spirit? Oh, you're talking about like Oriok Champion? I mean, the card has to do something ridiculously powerful, Noetic. It has to do something ridiculously powerful that you would want to play it. But I think anywhere between like 4 to 6 is very easily acceptable, even in a tribal deck. You can push it even further than that if the card is so damn good. I mean, I play Collector Oof in Merfolk, for example, because the point is, when I play the Collector Oof, when I get Collector Oof in play, the intention is that it completely shuts down my opponent. Like if they were a Charbelcher deck or Hardened Scales deck, I'm hoping Collector Oof just completely shuts down their strategy. Or Dice Factory, for example. How does a deck like Dredge beat Tibble Trickery? They probably don't. I mean, you could... Like, here's the thing. There's a lot of random good cards. I mean, maybe the best one is... Oh, what's the exiling one? What's the one that, like, 3 spells are cast, exile all spells on the stack, and it costs 0? Mindbreak Trap. I mean, maybe you could jam 4 of these if you really want to in your deck, and then you mulligan down to a Mindbreak Trap, and that might be good enough. And hopefully you have a random Dredger at the same time. But outside of that, I don't know. Ask Sodek. Sodek will probably just say, play the Tibble's Trickery deck, though. Just play the Tibble's Trickery deck. If you're new here, you want to get my attention to your questions. 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question. Helps me find your question amongst all the comments that I'm receiving from 2 YouTube channels and a Facebook page. Or if you're on YouTube, you can donate with super chats, and I'll definitely see your question amongst all the comments. Tier D should be all prowess players. That's right. Who's gonna win more often? A jack of all trades. Who's going to win more often? A jack of all trades player picking up Tibble Trickery, or a Tibble Trickery master playing Tibble Trickery? Well, Tibble Trickery master playing Tibble Trickery. So I've been playing Tibble Trickery quite a bit, and I still make a lot of mistakes with this deck. I make tons of mistakes. Mistakes all around. Like, just making land drops for Field of the Dead is difficult sometimes. Judge of Currents, worst card ever. Love it. This, I don't know if this is the worst card ever, but this is a card that, I don't know, mesmerizes the Merfolk community. It's like, how can we make Judge of Currents? How can we make this a card? We need more life. I'm lost to burn. I lost the prowess. We need more life. Judge of Currents makes life. How do we make this work? And I'm like, it doesn't. It just doesn't work. Put it away. Put it away. Let it die. Let it go. We don't need Judge of Currents. Is Standard worth playing right now? Arena feels so meta that trying to play anything creative harbors some terrible results. I don't know. That's up to you. I mean, like, the funny thing is about Legacy is that everyone says it's a shithole format, but everyone keeps playing it. All the Legacy players keep playing it. They are continuously complaining about the format while playing it at the same time. They like boycott it a little bit, and then they go straight back. I mean, they got to be like the Pioneer players that just ultimately dump the format. But I mean, that's up to you. I honestly don't play Standard very much. I just really don't care about the format that much. No, not enough Merfolk in that format. What's your take on Vile or no Vile in aggro decks? It's a funny thing, Vile. So the deal is, the more creatures you have in your deck, the more valuable Vile is. And I would say that if your aggro deck is not good against control decks or counter spells, then the more likely you should have Vile in your deck. That would be my take. A deck like Burn, for example, is okay. Like, I consider Burn like an aggro deck, but so Burn doesn't have nearly enough creatures to play Ether Vile, so it doesn't. And also it plays at instant speed pretty well, so you know, counter magic isn't that big of a deal for him. Good morning, David. Do you ever get back into Legacy? Not really. So long as Modern, like, you know, feeds my appetite for Magic, I don't have that much incentive to play Legacy. What about Goldspan Dragon in Modern Blue-Red Control Tempo? I don't even know what this card is. Goldspan Dragon. It better cost like 4 mana or less. If it's 5 mana, maybe we can have a discussion. Oh my god, we can have a discussion here. Oh, this is the... Whenever it attacks or becomes a target of a spell or ability, create a treasure token. It's not good because it doesn't influence the battlefield. At 5 mana, you basically have all the mana that you could possibly want to do anything that you want. Like, you need... Like, the reason Glorybringer sees play is that it can destroy creatures on the battlefield. That's very important. Like, at 5 mana, you don't want things like are dirtling around. Like, all this does is add more mana to the mana pool, but you have 5 mana already. You've reached the late game. That's not what you want. You need more value at this point of the game, especially for a blue-red control deck. Like, that's why you want, like, a Boreal Grazer and Dryad of the Elysian Grove on the earlier turns of the game for those decks that need to ramp. Later on in the game, you don't need any more ramp. You need things that influence the battlefield. This does not do it. Blacktron is totally possible. It's totally possible. There's nothing, or even green Blacktron, for example, is totally possible. I mean, like, there's mono blue Tron. There are so many Tron variants that have just not been explored, and Tron is hurting to the Tibble's Trickery deck, and maybe they can go black or white. They could go mono white, for example, and maybe shore up some of those bad matchups. They would lose Ancient Stirrings and Sylvan Scrying. But they could go blue white. They can go green white. There's nothing wrong with that either. What about the combo potential on Magda Brazen Outlaw? I couldn't find relevant dragons in Modern yet. I think Magda is broken. Magda! I think Magda's broken. So at first it's a Lord, okay? So it actually has some influence on the battlefield. It can help push damage, and it's really aggressively costed at 2 mana. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. See, you want the mana early. You want mana early. I mean, you could have, like, turn 1 dwarf, turn 2 Magda, attack with it. Boom, you got a treasure token. Now you're ramping. Magda is a completely different story from the dragon. Goldspan Dragon and Magda are not even in the same league. So at 5 mana, you don't need the treasure tokens anymore. Very early on in the game, you want the treasure tokens. Oh, by the way, you can sacrifice 5 treasure tokens and find a dragon and put it on the battlefield. But you better believe I'm not going to look for this dragon. I'm going to look for Glorybringer or something else. It can be any dragon. You can like a 10 mana dragon if you really want to. So I think Magda's broken. The only thing holding Magda back or dwarves back is that there's just not many dwarves in the game. I looked up all the dwarves. There's just not much. There's really just not many dwarves in the game. This one is a really busted dwarf though. Super busted. Are there dwarf tokens in this game? Maybe there's dwarf tokens. When are you going to invite a Rockstar Black X Master to talk about Jund or other green black related topics, or did I miss it? I don't think I've had anyone. I have invited some people. I've gotten word that people have invited on my they like ask somebody on my behalf, because I don't really go out and invite people as much anymore. Because I do go out and ask people, and then like some people get back, some people don't. So if you're a content creator that you specialize in something, come reach me, DM me. My DMs are open on Twitter. Reach me on my Facebook fan page. Would love to have you on. But I have not had a green black X player come on yet. Grim Flare out there, you want to come on the show? Any day, you're invited. Thoughts on Skemfar Avenger? I mean, love a little bit more context than that, but... Oh, this thing, the Elf Berserker. Whenever another non-token Elf or Berserker you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. I think this card is good. I don't know if it's good in a traditional Elf deck, that's trying to blurt out like a million power on the battlefield, but I think it's good. I don't know if anyone can hear that, but Salute is spazzing out right now. It's like he's running away from his own tail. Salute! Salute, okay? Salute! Salute! Oh, good morning, Salute. Good morning, Salute! How you doing? You out of breath? You're running. I saw you're running. What are you running from, Salute? What are you afraid of? There's nothing out there. It's just you and me. And Chubby Meatball somewhere. Chubby Meatball's sleeping. I don't see her chasing you. Oh, Salute, good morning. Say hello, Salute. Say hello to everybody. Okay, you wanna go back to running? Go back to whatever the hell you're doing. Yeah, Salute is a cutie. But anyway, maybe it's okay. I mean, it's a pretty amazing effect that you can like throw your elves away in front. Like you can. Okay, let's say you have a bunch of pathetic 1/1s on the battlefield. Then you play Skemfar Avenger. It's going to make it harder for your opponent to attack into you because you're going to draw cards out of it, or them to block any of your random creatures, because every single one that they block, yeah, they prevent 1 damage, but you draw a card. So I actually like this card. I like this card. I like this card a lot. The only problem is that if this thing itself dies, I think you get nothing. So whenever another non-token elf or berserker you control dies, you draw a card and lose 1 life. That's the only downside, I guess. Does budget count as specialization? Well, we're at a competitive level, no, because there is no such thing as like budget competition, unless you're talking about Pauper. But that's just a completely different format based around commons. But you can, in terms of content creation, yes, there is such a thing as specializing. The lack of Salute emotes might be the argument enough for moving back to Twitch. My emotes. But if you join on YouTube, you are supposed to be able to have access to those emotes again. It's just 2 different platforms. Yeah, I know. There's no... If you join on both, you have access to Salute emotes on both. But you don't need to do both. You just need to do one. It's all good with me. Good morning, Dexter Johnson. Thoughts on Penny Dreadful? It's a format. I mean, if you like that stuff, go for it. I like to play, but I prefer the... Well, I heard Penny Dreadful can be super powerful. I was about to say, I prefer the powerful formats with powerful cards. And Penny Dreadful is like, also can be really powerful because there are some very... Like I heard you can play like Reanimator in Penny Dreadful. Anyway, it's an interesting format. The fact of the matter is, maybe my top 3 formats would be something like Modern, Historic, then Pioneer, then maybe Legacy. But you can't play every format. It's hard to specialize. It's hard to be good at all the formats at once. Hence why the pros just gravitate to the tier 1 deck of any format. It's like, we're playing Pioneer today? Okay, what's the best deck in Pioneer? All right, let's sleeve it up. We're playing Modern this week? What's the best deck in Modern? Okay, let's sleeve it up. We're playing Historic this week. What's the best Historic deck? All right, let's sleeve it up. Like, they don't play test all that much because as a pro player, if they're playing in, like, you know, competition, GP, online event here or there, they have to just trust the result of the best deck in the format, play test it enough, and then just go with it. They rely on us grinding to find out what the best decks are. That's what they do. They rely on us. Are elves moving from mono green to green black? Did they ever leave? You know, there's been green black elves for a very long time. I mean, it's been a very popular choice. There's one GP. It's made top 8s of GPs. I can't remember if it won a GP. Definitely top 8 of GPs. Is it possible to play a 2-color deck with only a playset of fetches, shocks, and fast line? Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've done it many times. I don't know if it's the most ideal. I'll say this much. No, yeah, it's like fetches. Oh, you talking about like no basic lands? With only a playset of fetches, shocks, and fastly. No basic lands? You have to have basic lands. You have to have some, like 2 or 3 at least, so that you can fetch out your basics so you don't get crushed by Blood Moon, if that was your question. Would you play an Historic? Merfolk. Merfolk forever. I think the pros use their own flavor of modern decks more than other formats. Like Reed always plays rock decks, and Matt Nass is always messing with combo decks. Well, here's the thing. Now, Reed Duke cut his teeth on Magic the Gathering Online. He is more of in that specialist direction. I would say there are a lot of pro players that specialize in decks. There are. It has been the case. And those players have had more success in the format than the others. My friend and me do budget modern leagues, 20 euros plus 5. Oh, I get it. Budget modern. So your budget is like 20 euros in the main deck, and you're allowed to use 5 euros for the sideboard. Wow, a lot of budget for the sideboard. Merfolk. Here we go. Lord Magicus, top 8 finisher with Merfolk and Penny Dreadful. You want to learn how to play Merfolk and Penny Dreadful? You go follow Lord Magicus on YouTube. Oh, then you're totally fine. If you're including basics, yeah, you totally can make a mana base out of that. I mean, most of my decks have been like fetch land. I mean, maybe I had some creature lands, of course, but like it's mostly like fetch lands, some fast lands, and shock lands. Benjamin, you're not late. I'm late. I was like 7 minutes late to make my coffee. Do we still see the steam? We still see some steam. I don't like my coffee all that hot, to be honest. Nikachu loves his coffee like lukewarm and cold. Lukewarm and cold, I tell you. Tiago Martins asked, don't you think Rhyme Hood Falls can make a chance for Ice Fang to come back to Simic control? And thoughts on Weathered Runestone against Luris Bauble combo? Let's get Rhyme. I think you're talking about the land. Rhyme Hood Falls. Oops. We don't have the right. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. It's like the like one of the snow dual lands, and if that's the case, like, because I got the wrong name. But if it's one of the snow lands, then yes, 100%. I think Ice Fang Quaddle can definitely come back to some sort of control deck. Is it Woodfall? Oh, Rhyme Woodfalls. There we go. 100%. 100%. This card can. You only need one. You only need one in the deck. Control decks already play Triomes, for crying out loud. Most of the time, that's just a land that's coming into play tapped. It doesn't get cycled. 100%. 100% you can play this card. Go for it. 100 billion%. Oh, it reminds me. I got to put the Triomes in my Tybalt's Trickery deck. Why don't I have Triomes in my Tybalt's Trickery deck? I can use at least one. It would be good for Field of the Dead as well. And then thoughts on Weathered Runestone? The only problem is I would be very concerned about bringing this card in versus a Luris deck that's trying to grind you out on value. This card is like card disadvantage. You're trying to prevent big stuff from happening. You're not trying to prevent value from happening. And like, if they got a Lurrus from their sideboard and put it into play, you're already down on cards. So this, I don't know if this makes things better. You know, I don't know. I don't know about this one. That one's tougher to evaluate. I would have to, someone would have to play test it and like prove to me that it actually makes a difference in the Lurrus matchup. Ram and Korea asks, if a person wanted to start getting into competitive Magic, is it better to do all MTG, paper, arena, Magic Gathering, or paper and one online format, or is it a personal preference? I would say you pick a format that you want to play, and no matter what, you play both in online and paper. That would be my recommendation. And maybe you could play more formats online just for fun, but you definitely have to play both paper and online. You want to practice online because there are very good players online where you may not have good players locally where you live. And on top of that, you can jam games whenever you want, however often you want. So you have an unlimited amount of competition, good competition that you can play against regularly. You can play against in open events online in the weekend. And that the skills that you learn in the online events will translate to the paper events. So when you go play in your paper events, your paper opens, you will have a much greater chance of just annihilating everybody. So if you want to get into, I would say if you want to get into competitive Magic, it's pretty important. A lot of pros do this. They play test online before big events. They always do. It's something you gotta have. But I don't want to say like you can't dump paper Magic, because one way or another, I mean, you in theory could go all in on online, but paper Magic is still worth a lot too. Like at the Star City Opens and the GPs, all these events are still worth something. And getting your reps in paper still matter, because triggers don't happen by themselves, and you have to get into the rhythm of getting your triggers, drawing cards, untapping your cards, remembering your triggers, how they stack, how the rules actually work in paper. So and that takes practice. That takes practice itself. It seems simple, but really, you're like, you play online all the time, it stacks all the triggers for you, it does all the rules for you, and then you're in paper and you're like, you keep missing things. Your opponent keeps not cheating, but like they're doing things against the rules just because it looks like that's something they could do, but in actuality, you know, the Magic the Gathering online game logic would never let them do what they're trying to Path Exile in Emrakul, for example. That's happened to me a few times where I Tybalt's Trickery in Emrakul and my opponent plays Path, and then I know, of course, if I'm reading my card, I should know it can't be the target of colored spells, but then maybe I'll be like, okay, oh shit, you have Path Exile, I exile my Emrakul. That sounds like a pretty bad example, but the better example are just the triggers in general. Triggers are a really big deal. You take it for granted that it's being done for you online. Force negation is greater than $100. Is it now? Paper or online? I'm assuming online. So the paper price is pretty stable. Let's go to MTG Goldfish. It's not $100. It's $85, but it's pretty stable. It's pretty expensive. I think it just recently spiked to 100, and then people sold out into it. I don't think it's I don't know if it's gonna be over $100. Like, it's spiked to $100 quite a few times. It seems like once it hits that $100 barrier, people like sell into it. But it's definitely like one of the cards, one card that a lot of people need to own at the moment, because like all the Uro piles really need it. And it's like really good against Tybalt's Trickery for the most part. How better would Merfolk be if they printed another blue 2/2 Merfolk that gave Island Walk? It'd actually help a lot, because then there'd be less incentive to splashing green for Simic Merfolk. Maybe it would still happen, but a blue is better than the stupid, what's it called, Merfolk Mistbinder. And I get potentially unblockable creatures. So do you think they're going to try and ban Spirit Guide or some other major combo piece? I don't think Spirit Guide has crossed. Well, man, I don't know. Maybe Spirit Guide has crossed the line at this point, but I don't think they're going to ban Spirit Guide. I think they'll ban Tybalt's Trickery more than anything. Not all the decks are playing. Like, if you ban Spirit Guide, people just play it anyway and just play Gemstone Caverns or something. Not all the decks are playing Spirit Guide. Good morning, Jesse. Is this the rise of Nikachu, Tybalt's Spaghetti Master? No, I'm just janking around with this thing for the most part. I tried to troll my way to a 5-0 victory. I was close a few times. I had a Thrun the last troll in my sideboard. My deck was clearly crap. It was just I just wanted to prove a point. Like any monkey can play this deck, like and potentially get a 5-0. But for the record, okay, my older version that didn't play with Mystic Sanctuary or Field of the Dead, I had a sub 50% win rate for sure. I was at like either 40 or 45% for win rate with my Tybalt's Trickery deck. This is like basically 3 Emrakuls, 4 Violent Outbursts, 1 Tybalt's Trickery, 52 lands. But then when I started playing with Mystic Sanctuary, that changed a lot because now all of a sudden I didn't snap lose to discard spells anymore. They could discard my card, and then in 5 turns I get my Emrakul back. What else? So I'm at about 60% win right now with the newer version, which is better than like losing, but it's not impressive. Problem is just too much counter magic. There's too much fucking counter magic out there, and I don't know how to beat it. Maybe the best plan is just playing Primeval Titan, giving it uncounterability with Cavern of Souls. Eden Yardani. Hi, do you think the 3-mana Cascade spell should be a ban or change the rule on 0-mana suspend spells, etc.? No, I say they won't change. They will not change the rule. They will definitely not change the rule. They only changed the companion rule because the companion rule wasn't specified on the card. Whatever's on the card right now, they're not changing it. They don't do that. The fact that they changed the companion rule was a very special case. Now, they might change. They could now when it comes to not Tybalt's Trickery, but like when cascading into Cosmic Imposter. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I gotta look up Valky. Okay, so take Valky, God of Lies. You can cascade into this and then flip it and play the Tybalt's Cosmic Imposter part. That they could change. They could change that rule, saying that you can't choose either side. You have to choose the side that you actually cascade into. The converted mana cost, that makes sense. And if both sides make sense, maybe that's acceptable. But you cannot. They could change that rule when it comes to Cascade, but when it comes to like cascading into Tybalt's Trickery, they're not going to change anything. It is what it is. Would Tybalt's Trickery or Is It Blitz be good decks to get started on Magic the Gathering Online? I would say Is It Blitz? Yes. Tybalt's Trickery? No, because you're not going to learn shit with that deck. Tybalt's Trickery is a monkey deck. It's a 19 IQ brainless ape monkey archetype. I don't think it's a good way of learning Magic or learning Magic the Gathering Online. I think Is It Blitz is a good choice, though. Is It Blitz is a good choice. Can you recommend a standard deck to jump back in? Been out of MTG for a while, but have experience. I cannot recommend a standard deck. Maybe check out Covert Go Blue or Merchant MTG. They play a lot of standard. Because like standard just got shook up right now. So I mean, I don't even know what's the best deck in standard at the moment. Eldrazi in Modern, how do you feel about its playability in Modern? It is crushed because they can't beat the Tybalt's Trickery deck. I mean, you gotta have like turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer or you're fucked, basically. So Eldrazi, Tron, all the big mana decks are killed. They can't beat this card. They cannot beat this card. Not very well. Turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer or bust. That's what it is. And you better hope that you're on like the play. What card is Spirit Guide? Simian Spirit. We're talking about Simian Spirit Guide. How do you know about Elvish Spirit Guide but you don't know about Simian Spirit Guide? This is the time shifted one. So it was elf shifted. It was the elf time shifted into the dirty ape. Dirty ape. Have you ever tried Kovalainen? I had 2 of them for a while in Legacy, and it was hilarious, making people tap out for cantrips. The 3 CMC hurt, though. All right, I've never heard of this card, which does not bode well for the card. If you don't give me the exact word, if you don't give me the exact name, I can't look it up, because I don't know what this card is. What's your take on Glasspool Mimic as a copy for Tribal Lords? I think it's great. And I think the value of this card goes up if you have 4 drops in your deck. And the reason for that is you need extra lands to curve into your higher mana cost spells. So why not play with Glasspool Mimic? So I really like this card in those decks. Yeah, they could change the ruling on the flip cards. They absolutely could do that. Because it's not explicitly written anywhere on the card. So that's totally possible. Do you think decks, Jake asked, do you think decks like Titan or Tibalt show that lands are getting more and pushed with little to no downside? Do you think decks like Titan or Tibalt show that lands are getting more pushed with little to no downside? Are you talking about because it's like an all lands deck for the most part? But like, I don't win through my land side very much. Not very often, I would say. I don't. The land part doesn't win me games very much. Mostly the Emrakul wins for me. Tiago, just saw the streamer Mono Black Magic doing turn 2 Ulamogs, Ugins, and Omniscience consistently with TT in Historic by countering Ornithopters. Another take on the deck. What do you mean by consistently? And just remember, did you see the whole thing happen? I mean, I do know that the deck is playable. Like the Tibalt's Trickery is. There are these turn 2 decks in Standard and Historic. But I just don't know what you mean by consistently can do it. Because I doubt it's consistent. Andre's like, to be honest, that rule change is even worth it. Like Trickery into a 7-drop Tibalt isn't as resilient or probably even as good as Tron already jamming Karn Liberated. Well, the idea is that it's not Trickery into the 7-drop. It's just Violent Outburst into it. Violent Outburst. So, for example, Squat Chief already went 5-0 with this type of list. You just Violent Outburst, and you can do it on turn 2 because you can Simian Spirit Guide into the Valky. You can turn 2 have this, what is very close to Oko, really, because it goes to 7 loyalty, and then it's massive card advantage because you can play whatever your opponent has, you can play whatever you have in exile. So turn 2, and that's what the deck was doing. It's I mean, we'll have to wait and see if it actually is super busted, but it was playing like 4 Violent Outburst, 4 of the other Cascade spell, and it just goes directly to Valky or directly to Tibalt. Simian Spirit Guide, Violent Outburst, turn 2, boom. Say hello to my little friend. Mobile Enthusiast. In fact, the companion reminder explicitly says if this card is your chosen companion, you may cast it once from outside the game. Cards are already printed with that, but they still changed it. Yeah, so like they just added more rules to it. That's all. Invisible rules. It's still the same thing. You just need to know that you have to spend 3 mana at sorcery speed. It didn't contradict what it said. Where are the Jund lists starting to run a 1x cycle land? I actually don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's better than the Horizon lands. I mean, didn't they always run this stuff? Because it combos with Wrenn and 6. You cycle, get it back with Wrenn and 6, you cycle again, it's card advantage. I could have swore they always had that, in addition to Horizon lands. Every deck can play Mindbreak Trap, so every deck can beat Trick really easily. Well, now here's the deal. Now this is my experience. And you could make a very good argument against the London Mulligan here. You know what? I was pro London Mulligan like 100%. Now I'm like pro London Mulligan 90%. Playing the Tybalt's Trickery deck forces your or I would just say playing a powerful combo deck forces the opponent to mulligan to their hate cards, because if they don't find them, they lose. And if you have to mulligan aggressively as the defending player, you're down on resources no matter what, even if you find the card. So, for example, I had people mulligan down to 4 or 5 to find Meddling Mage or Thalia against me when I was playing Tybalt's Trickery. Now, here's the deal. Okay, you play your Meddling Mage turn 2, named Tybalt's Trickery, but you're so far down on cards, you don't have a fast clock. That gives me a lot of time to, like, Teleria West up a Blast Zone, tick it up, crack it, and still combo off anyway. So when a combo deck mulligans to 4, it doesn't matter because I'm going to win with the 4 cards anyway. But when a fair deck mulligans to 4, it's catastrophic. Okay, you found the Mindbreak Trap, but does it necessarily win on the spot when you cast it? It's like, is it over? Because you're down a lot of cards. Maybe I'm just going to make land drops, play Field of the Dead, play another Field of the Dead, make tons of zombie tokens, and then all of a sudden you're losing to the zombies because you couldn't kill me fast enough because you mulliganed to 4 looking for the Mindbreak Trap. Anyway, just something to think about. I never thought about until, like, I would have, like, okay hands and, an answer when I mulligan down as a Merfolk player, but I didn't realize how slow my game is, how slow my clock is as a result of that. And it gives so many turns for the combo deck to get back or combo off again that the fair decks don't have. So you know how we even the odds? Open deck lists. That's how we even the odds. We should have open deck lists. Open deck list for everybody. Yay! I don't know how many people are with me on that one, but I will. This isn't really much of a question. Us spirits. Maybe you're talking about blue-white spirits. By the way, the Simian Spirit Guide artwork is the pilot the Tybalt Trickery deck was designed for. That's right. Do you think that Force of Negation will be repented soon? What do you mean, repented? Oh, reprinted. No. I actually don't think it. Well, okay, how long? It's been 2 years? Wizards usually prints cards every 2 years. So there might be a paper product coming up. Maybe Modern Horizons 2. They're reprinting Fetchlands. Maybe they can reprint cards that came from the first Modern Horizons. Who knows? We'll find out more. So maybe Force of Negation will see a reprint there. I'm not expecting it to be. I expect Force of Negation to show up in some sort of Masters set, but it's possible. The 0 mana cards with Suspend CMC can be changed to their Suspend cost. Maybe they could do that, but probably not. Probably not. So, 'cause some of them also still, well, I guess you could do that, but like, here's the thing, like the Cascade spells specifically say converted mana cost. Maybe they could make that rule, but I think that's like now going against what the card says. There's like there would be a contradiction all of a sudden. It's like, oh, it's the converted mana cost of the spells, unless it's a Suspend card with 0. And by the way, not all the Suspend cards have 0 mana. But you're so like you want to make a niche exception for the ones with 0 mana. And you know what? I think it's an awkward, clunky rule. Have you checked out the M. Hayashi latest 5-0 with Blue Blackfish? I did. I wish he let me know what matchups he beat though. I think the deck is going to do very well against. I think it's going to do well against Control. I hope it does. Looks like it'll do very well against combo decks. And a good thing about this list right now is that there's less Tron and Titan in the metagame. It was like a M. Hayashi special of like it was basically blue black Lurrus, but with a lot of interaction. Of course, he loves his interaction. I'm just concerned what the matchup's going to be like against other tribal decks, but he's got a lot more removal than he normally would. He used Wishclaw Talisman to fetch what he needed. It seemed pretty consistent, but then can't you Trickery into the Wishclaw Talisman? Well, whatever. I mean, I understand you have like so many Wishclaw Talismans, but you'll have a lot more beefy threats to compensate for it. Why aren't we seeing 8x Tybalt and just play them both, since they both abuse Cascade? Maybe that's an evolution to the deck that could take place. Maybe that's possible. Tybalt Cosmic Impostor is great. Hey, Fruit Kid. Frank Kwong just got my Ether Vial and Cavern Souls and wants to play a tribal deck in Modern. How do I choose between Human, Spirits, or Merfolk? Well, I would say they're all similar. Do you know what? I would maybe choose Spirits right now. Just because like Spirits had like an 80% win rate in the last metagame, and I don't expect that too much should change going into the next one. Humans seems to be very seasonal. Humans is on a rise right now because Humans has a very 50-50 matchup versus Tron and Titan. And the same is true, honestly, about Spirits as well. It's funny that the Humans players, they went extinct, but the Spirits players that are like, we're going to play Spirits anyway, fuck it. But like the two most like traditionally, well, anyway, I would say Spirits is a pretty good choice. Spirits is a very good choice. They have a lot of good stuff here. No, open decklist would kill me. Open decklist will kill you. I'm pro open decklist. We're gonna bring open decklist to fight back against those combo players mulliganing to Oblivion. Sure, yeah, their whole deck can operate on 3 cards. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone can do that. Mindbreak Trap spiked to 32 ticks. Yep. It's like one of the main cards. Honestly, I haven't seen Mindbreak Trap that much. Got played against me once. Oh, by the way, Sodek, if you're here, you are here. What is your matchup like? How good is the Titan plan versus the control decks with Tybalt's Trickery? How good is the Titan plan? Because Sodek's got a very good transformational sideboard with 4 Primeval Titan, 4 Summoner's Pack, 4 Dryad of the Elysian Grove, 3 Explore, and he plays with like a Amulet Titan mana base with Field of the Dead, Valakut the Molten Pinnacle. What is the matchup? What is your like? That is I can pretty much beat like anything with Tybalt's Trickery, but I cannot beat counter spells. I need my opponent to fuck up, or to think with my turn 1 Breeding Pool, turn 2 Misty Rainforest, that I'm a different deck. I abandoned the 51 land version of the deck, only random flips into Simeon's. Oh, so you're on the random flips into Simeon's Spirit Guide. All right, we've evolved into the Magic Aids version. Are you playing like the well, what's your preferred version? The canister version with like the 3 Eldrazi Titans? What's going on here? If open decklist becomes a thing, Lost Legacy-esque cards get better. Probably. Well, not really. Hold on. Lost Legacy, is that the... I mean, sort of. Like, for the most part, you already know what you're gonna... Like, if you play against an archetype, let's say Scapeshift or something, or Amulet Titan, Tron, you already know what's in the deck for the most part. The only thing open decklist lets you know is, like, what you're up against before we've even played our first land. The plan was the best compared to other options, but still not good enough. I mean, it's not great. Mystic Sanctuary helps a lot, but still not good enough. I agree. Well, I'll tell you what. It was probably really good on days 1 and 2, and then the format adapted ridiculously fast. Ridiculously fast. Everyone's got an answer. Well, mostly, my problem is I can't just dodge the fucking counterspell decks. There's just counterspell. Storm has counterspells. Is it Prowess now has counterspells? The counterspell deck has counterspells. Everyone has counterspells. About the version, I have some ideas, but I don't have much time to test them since I'm writing the... Yeah, go for it. Or, and then, well, but then you're going to find the time when you want to write the guide to the Tybalt's Trickery deck. Feel like the deck should maximize flipping into Emrakul, Kozilek. Looks as bad. Yeah, all the evil magic cards. MTG Ectoplasm. While playing Tybalt's Trickery, do you match up against Spirits? And what concerned you in the matchup? I did get matched up versus Spirits, but I did beat them. The things that concerned... Well, I've also lost to them as well. The things that concern me are things like Force Negation, Mausoleum Wanderer, Spell Queller, like all their counterspell cards. But I can play against a decent... Like, I can play around, like, Mausoleum Wanderer relatively well. Or I guess I can't play around Mausoleum Wanderer. I have played around Mausoleum Wanderer by, like, playing Blast Zone, cracking it, and then on my turn I combo off. Against Spell Queller and Force Negation, just combo off on your opponent's upkeep. They can't play Force Negation, and they don't have Spell Queller yet by turn 3. Like, do it on turn 2. Or my turn 3, their turn... I guess on their turn 3 upkeep. Is the Trickery deck actually playable? Yes, it is. It's unfortunately too playable. It's too easy to play, too. All right, people. It's decklist review time. So, if you want your decklist reviewed, go to the description. In the description is a link to my Discord. Go to the channel, Decklist Review. Use the command, ! Review deck space, give the URL to your deck list, and you will be chosen at random to get your deck list reviewed on Coffee and MTG. And as people are spinning the deck list, we are, of course, going to thank our sponsors, starting with themanabase.com, the content site on Commander, Modern, Standard, more and more. The Mana Base is your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And FusionGamingOnline.com, my favorite local game store, and the place that I buy all my Magic singles. The deal of the week this week, save 20% off all TCG sealed product. Remember, this is a Canadian site in Canadian prices. Also, I don't know if they can ship sealed product anywhere in the world. It might only be domestic. So for all you Canadians out there, this is a deal that you might want to jump on. And if you want the deal to get even sweeter, you can save 5% off if you use my discount code Nikachu at checkout. And we are also going to thank... Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. You want to try out Tybalt's Trickery or anything that would beat Tybalt's Trickery, you can do that with Mana Traders. You can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 15% off your first 3 months using my coupon code Nikachu. Okay, so we're... Yeah, Merfolk has counterspells. That's right. I'm happy about that. I can beat them. Screw you, Emrakul. Screw you, Tybalt's Trickery. All right, Fred2567. Congratulations. You are the next contestant on Decklist Review. Apparently is a... Oh, it's one of those Grixis Lurrus decks. All right. So, oh, Lurrus Delver. Okay, then. Blood Crypt, 3 Dark Slick Shores, 2 Island, Mountain, Pluto Delta, Scalding Tarn, Steam Vents, 1 Swamp, 2 Watery Grave. 4 Serum Visions, 4 Thoughtseize, 2 Fatal Push, 4 Force Negation, 4 Lightning Bolt, Magmatic Sinkhole, Mana Leak, Spell Snare, 4 Thought Scour, Delver of Secrets. You're playing Scourge of the Skyclaves. Okay, Snapcaster Mage and Young Pyromancer. And you're using Lurrus, because why not? Let's play Lurrus. Sideboard. 1 Alpine Moon. Well, in this immediate world right now, I don't know if Alpine Moon matters. I don't know if Alpine Moon I mean, because here's the thing, because Tron is gone. Like all the mana decks are gone, thanks to Tybalt's Trickery. In the long run, this could be a playable card, but I think in the short run right now, it's not good. Bloodchief's Thirst is good. 3 Dispel is good. Electrolyze, bad. This is a bad card. Don't play Electrolyze. This is garbage. This is a 2016 card. It should be dead in 2016. What is this even good against anymore? What are we going to Electrolyze? Nothing. Flusterstorm is fine, especially in our Tybalt's Trickery metagame. Colligan's Command is fine. We have Aluris, 2 Nihil Spellbomb, 1 Pithing Needle, 2 Surgical Extraction, and a Tormod's Crypt. Like, these are fine. Honestly, I might want like the last. If you're playing with Nihil Spellbomb, I would just play with more Nihil Spellbombs because you can at least cash this in for a card. Whereas Tormod's Crypt, like you, especially with Luris, this can be a card drawing engine because you just draw a card off of Nihil Spellbomb over and over again. Whereas Tormod's Crypt, it's free, but it's not as appealing. So I would scrap the Moon. Honestly, I would rather turn this into a Death Shadow deck, but I'm sure that you are hellbent on making Delver of Secrets work. So this is not a bad list. This is not a bad list. Do we have any other ways of dealing damage to our opponent? Sometimes Scourge of the Skyclaves is just clunky. Sometimes it just sticks in your hand. You can't do anything with it. You have 4 Lightning Bolt. That's it. This is modern. Cabal Therapy is not legal. See you later, Bryson. Anyway, that's all I would say. You know, dump the Electrolyze, add another Nihil Spellbomb. Maybe play another Bloodchief's Thirst. You know what you're not? You know what you're missing here? Maybe a few more hand disruption spells. Like, you only have the 4 Thoughtseize in here. And by the way, they're painful. I mean, I guess you might want the Thoughtseize to activate Scourge of the Skyclaves, but you might want, like, if we remove Alpine Moon and the Electrolyze, maybe you can squeeze into Inquisition of Kozilek because it's really important versus certain decks. That's all my feedback. It's a clean list. It's pretty clean. It's a clean list, in my opinion. It's a very clean list. Did I just see it? This swamp looks like a forest to me. Thanks for submitting the list, and good luck with it. Let's move on. What do you think of the Young Pyromancer? Young Pyromancer is good value so long as you can play the Pyromancer, you can get a spell off at the same time. So by turn 3, Pyromancer plus spell, that's value. And it's okay. It's not the greatest value in the world, but it's still, for a Delver deck, I think it's okay. The deck has to be cheap on spells. Like, you can't play, for example, Seasoned Pyromancer because it's a 3 CMC spell and you can't play Luris alongside it. So Young Pyromancer is like a respectable creature in a Luris deck. Cannot pronounce your name. It's like impossible. Maybe based on the... I can read this one, though. Michele's? Macally's? Congratulations. You're the next contestant on Decklist review. Oh, Merfolk. Ether Vial on 2. So, like, you're telling me you have a bunch of 2-drops in your deck? We have 4 Benthic Biomancer, 2 Coral Helm Commander, 4 Harbinger of the Tides, 4 Lords, 4 Master of the Pearl Trident, Trickster, Silver Gillidapt, 4 Deprived, 2 Repeal, 16 Islands, 4 Mutavaults, 4 Spreading Seas, 4 Ether Vial, 4 Mist Caller, 2 Pithing Needle, 4 Sentinel Totem. Okay, hold on. Slowly upgrading a budget Merfolk deck. Want 3 Cavernous Souls. In the meantime, okay, so this is a Vapor Snag, Spell Pierce. Okay, this is exile all cards from all graveyards. You know what? So what, Relic is too expensive? Maybe the best is Soul Guide Lantern. Might be a better replacement card. Oh, it still costs money though. $2.50. Might be a little expensive. Might be a little expensive. But when enters the battlefield, you can exile a card. You just crack it, and exile all cards. And you have the option to draw a card off of it if you really need to. Not a huge fan of Sentinel Totem for the most part. But it's like it's an okay card if you can't afford the relics. What does relic cost now? What's this? This is close. Like, I think this is one of the better cards you want in your sideboard. It's like $2.50. Gather up $10. And you gotta blow it on that. Now, Cavernous Souls is a bit overrated. I think it's good right now because it gives you a lot of game against the Uro decks. But a nice replacement would be the Castle Vantress. That would give you a lot of game. Throw yourself, it's only like, you know, look, you can get it for 68 cents. Throw 3 to 4 copies of this in your deck. I think it would make it a lot more consistent, like make the deck a lot better. Instead of some, because we got to replace some of these islands. And I think that's it. I think you actually have a lot of sideboard hate for like graveyard decks. I don't know if Mistcaller... You know what I do? Replace Mistcaller with... Was Pithing Needle expensive? What's Pithing Needle now? Hope it's not expensive. Oh, it costs money. Well, the Magic 2020-10 one is $2.54. I would get Pithing Needle over these Mistcallers. I used to have Mistcaller to deal with Oops All Spells, but now I just prefer Pithing Needle. Just name the artifact creature that brings it back from the graveyard to their hand, and then they sack stuff and cast it for free. So yeah, Mistcaller. I would replace Mistcaller. I mean, Mistcaller's fine, I guess. Maybe you could replace some other stuff for those Pithing Needles. The main deck's totally fine. Castle Vantress is really nice because it allows you to hit those stalemate top decks. Also, Mistcaller stops graveyard decks and Collected Company. But only Collected... like, it does hit the Collected Company decks, but it doesn't hit... What's it called? Eladrim's Call. Because they're looking for a card and they just put into their hand. There's surprisingly a lot of things that Mistcaller does not stop, unfortunately. What's a good tier 1 modern deck to get into over the next few months? I already have Rakdos. You mean other than an Uro deck? Other than a Prowess deck? Get a Prowess deck. How about Is It Prowess? Is It Prowess is strong? Anyway, that's all the feedback I have for that. Hope that was some useful feedback. Good luck with it. Do one more. They're pretty fast. Modern Splicer Blink by Izzy19. Congratulations, Izzy. You're the next contestant on Decklist Review. Okay, we got some fairy deck. Oh, Ephemerate, Stubborn Denial, Blue-White something. A Johnny's Welcome. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Is this better than, like, Soul's Attendant? Ether Vial, Fairy Seer, Charming Prince, Unsettled Mariner, Blade Splicer, Soul Herder, Master Splicer, Wing Splicer. Oh, hold on, okay. I know what most of these cards do. Beginning of your end step, you may exile another creature and return it. Master Splicer. Okay, I don't know that. This is like a new one to me. When Master Splicer enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token, and then so it's Blade Splicer, but a Lord. And Wing Splicer. When Wing Splicer enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token. Golem creatures you control have flying. So why don't you have? Oh no, you do have Blade Splicer. Okay. Floodstrand. 20 islands. You have Ether Vial. You should have... Okay, so because your deck is heavy on 4 drops and 3 drops, I actually think you should have more mana in your deck. You actually should have more than 20 lands. 20 is very little in an Ether Vial deck. If you look at the Goblin decks, they have 23 lands and 4 Ether Vial, and I think this deck should be the same. You might want to take out like I would say a Johnny's Welcome. Just scrap the Johnny's Welcome, scrap 3, add 3 more lands, because your mana costs are very high. You need to get this stuff out, and it'll be fine. The deck is like all value oriented, so I would go up on lands in this deck. Sideboard Champion of the Parish. That's like an awkward sideboard card. Dispel. Is everything a human? Human, spirit, human, sure, human, wizard. I don't even know if it's... I don't even think Champion of the Parish would be that great. Name comes from Isaac Asimov's novel, The Naked Sun. In order to accomplish this, I have 4 Blade Splicer. You want to make golems. You want many golems. And ephemerate the golems. And Charming Prince... No, you don't want to ephemerate the golems. You want to ephemerate the splicers. Charming Prince the splicers. Make splicers all over the place. I love it. That's totally fine. Okay, you need more mana, though. This is too clunky. So, Scrap a Johnny's Welcome. In fact, I don't even know if this card is good. Like, this card is pointless. If you want this effect, get Soul's Attendant and replace your Fairy Seer. I don't think Fairy Seer has like no business in this deck. I don't even know what it's in here for. You know what you could use? Just play Course. What's it called? Add in Hierarch? It's a blue-white deck for the most part. What's the Giver of Runes? Protect your creatures. Protect your golem makers. I don't know if this is that important. And if you really... Or Soul's Attendant. But I think Giver of Runes might be just stronger. In my opinion. You definitely need more lands, though. Your curve is at 4. That's too high. Your Ether Defile deck is so clunky. So where's... Okay, you have Rest in Peace. We should go up another... Either up another Resting Piece or Rest in Peace, or have another piece of sideboard hate here. 3 Skyclave Apparition is totally fine. 2 Path to Exile is fine. Dispel is fine. Damping Sphere is fine. 3 Champion of the Parish is just weird. Just replace this with some other card. Maybe... I don't know, maybe the Magistrate card, because we are living in a Tybalt's Trickery metagame right now. You have only 3 Stubborn Denial? Yeah, okay, so maybe add Thalia. You have your choice. Thalia, Meddling Mage, or the Magistrate card. I don't remember the name. Ranith Magistrate. 2 mana, 1/3 creature. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. So that will shut down the Tybalt's Trickery decks. Thalia is far more versatile and answers Tybalt decks wonderfully. This isn't the fastest deck, though. So, like, the Tybalt deck can get through Thalia eventually with 5 mana. Or 4 mana and a Simian Spirit Guide. So sometimes... But you have your own counter spells, you know, so it's not too bad. Anyway, just something to consider. But this doesn't really... This has no synergy with the deck. Yeah, it scries. So does this, right? At least this blinks. This is... I would choose a different 1-drop. And definitely add 3 more lands to this deck. And add value. Can you add some value lands? I mean, it could be Mutavault for all I know. This is just 3 colorless mana. And the Mutavaults are golems. Mutavaults are golems. Yeah, you can afford some Mutavaults. Make the 3 extra lands Mutavaults, and it's like you didn't even lose anything. It's like you didn't even lose anything. Anyway, I hope that's some helpful feedback. Get you into that modern metagame. Cool list. The Splicer would be proud. Jason Samard. Doesn't green have decent split? Maybe, but this is a blue-white deck. I mean, you can always add more colors, but it always comes at the liability of losing to Blood Moon, which is still prevalent in the metagame. All the Prowess decks are playing it. The new Tybalt Cosmic Imposter deck is playing it. Be careful about Blood Moon. Be very, very careful. Always gotta be careful about the Blood Moon. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome, Izzy. Hope that helps. So, what is YouTube clips? I have no idea. Not sure. Anyway, that's it for Decklist review today. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me on Coffee and MTG. And of course, if I didn't get to your comments or questions, we do this from Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Not tomorrow, though. I am going to be gone tomorrow. I have an exam. I have an exam at this time tomorrow. So there's going to be no Coffee and MTG tomorrow. Remember that. No Coffee and MTG. If you're waiting, you'll wait forever, and then I'll never show up. Sorry about that. I'll try to remind everyone on Twitter and on Facebook, there is no Coffee and MTG tomorrow. Spread the word. I'll be back on Friday, though. But we do it at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to support the Nikachu Empire, you can always subscribe. You can become a patron on Patreon at patreon.com/NikachuMTG. You can become a sub on Twitch, twitch.tv/NikachuMTG, or you could join on YouTube and get access to those wonderful Salute and Chubby Meatball emotes that you normally have on Twitch, but you'd have access to here on Coffee and MTG. So thank you very much for everyone making me part of your daily routine. And as usual, keep brewing up that coffee, and we'll keep brewing up the magic. See you next time.